I notice that most times when I go out, like I just stare at people like, okay, this outfit, how did they make it? Or like, I need to know, like, it's just the passion of, clothes, dresses, outfit. Like, it just gives me joy. I'm like, how come I just have so much love for clothes? So.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Alexander Desha. I'm a wedding filmmaker based here in Lagos, Nigeria, and you're welcome to my YouTube channel today. So basically, today I'm starting a new episode about documentary. And the reason why I started this was because I recently shot a documentary, and I felt like sharing my experience as a first-time documentary filmmaker. So, without further ado, let me take you guys straight to my system. Then I show you the breakdown of how I shot this, the lighting and everything, and how I was able to place things on set, the mistakes I made, and things I would have done better. But as time goes on, I will definitely improve on them. So let's go straight to my system as we discussed that. So this is my interview setup. So as you can see, my key light is somewhere around here on this side of her face, on this left hand side of her face. Sorry, is it left hand? Okay, sorry, right hand side of her face. And I have my um and that was on a stand, and I have my C stand um behind her, which was a C stand that held my backlight, which created this rim right light, you know, around her, and also illuminated the back, so the back is not dark. So when I got to her parlor, I had to adjust some things for her, change the location, and there was this beautiful old ancient wall clock, the big wall clock, which I kind of love. So I wanted it to be in the shot to create this royalty feel. So, and I did that. So if you look at the back, you see this brown door. It's actually a door. So because it's a big house, actually, she's a big girl. Okay. Okay. So she's here, all right. So she's putting on a brown this thing, and she's fair. And look at the way did my own color placement, so it doesn't affect the image in post production. She's fair in complexion, so you have this brown, um, dark brown clock behind her. We have this wall behind her. We also have this brown door behind her. So I put the mannequin here, and also behind there is a kind of off-white curtain. So I put, since the mannequin is having this yellowish feel, so I told her to wear um any design she has her own, that she should wear it on the mannequin. Then she wore this on it. So luckily for me, she brought several, but since this is green, so I felt like, what, just let's use the green. So it will be on this off-white curtain, so to show what we are talking about, so to put in frame. So I used the rule of third here. So she was on a side while the mannequin was on one side. So the sewing machine was right in front of the mannequin, and she was in front, just a little bit in front of the mannequin. So that created depth of it. So the mannequin is in the background, the sewing machine is in the midground, while she's in the foreground. And I actually love that. Uh, Although in this situation, what I would have done better was, like, what I would have done if I'm shooting now, I'll have put her in the midground while the machine is in the foreground. So that would have created a depth for between mannequin, she, then the machine. So the machine can be on one side, creating depth. But either ways, this is lovely too. Now, moving on to this side, we have the brown door. So over here, behind her, I strategically placed that behind here, because there is a doorknob. If you look closely, there's a doorknob here. I don't know if you can see it. Over here, you can see the doorknob. There's a doorknob here. So what I didn't want it to show, so I just placed that in a way that her shoulder is covering the doorknob, while majority of her body is behind um the white wall, which the white wall behind her. So that way, there's a contrast difference between the wall and her skin. If I place that directly on this brown um, door, when I'm color grading, once I pick a skin tone, there is a higher chance, that the colors on the tree will be bleeding on our skin. So definitely, Premiere Pro is, I mean, it's a software. It's not like a perfect, color grading tool. It's good, but it's not perfect. So nothing is perfect actually. So DaVinci will be able to do better, but I mean, I'm just learning DaVinci. So I thought about that in post-production. Like, oh, I need to place this guy right behind something that will not contrast, that will not like bleed, that the color will not bleed on her skin. So I put her behind this, why use her shoulder to cover up the distance. So to continue with the pattern, and if you look at the pattern of her clothes, there's green, which also um, depicts part of this green on the mannequin, and there's green some other brownish thing which also complement this particular brown this brown door. And continue with that same pattern is um this brown bell behind her. So this is a darker brown though, but it's also brown. So can you see the way I place that just right in between that? So that way there are not too many colors for your eye to play around. So we have brown, we have white, we have green. So off white, and we have green. But the mistake I made, we also have black here. Yeah, we also have black, which is this machine. But the one mistake I think I made when I got to, I didn't pay attention was that if you look at this glass here, it's actually reflecting my soft box, which is sometimes um, direct the viewer's attention to that because it's bright. All right, so it direct the viewer's attention. But I mean, I'm not. This is my first time, so I'm not expecting perfection. So I'm not the kind of person. I used to be the kind of person that believes everything has to be perfect. If it was me a couple of years ago that shot this, I wouldn't have posted it because I would have felt like, oh, people are gonna say this, people are gonna say this. So if I'm using this opportunity to advise those of you who actually feel because your video are not as bad, as great, as bad as your mentors or your predecessors are, you cannot grow if you don't consistently do what I mean. If you just keep producing something and you don't post it out there, you don't just feel fulfilled because majority of the time there's nobody to tell you, oh, you know, there's one person that tells you, oh, I love this, oh, I don't like this. For anybody to even criticize you, the person must have actually watched it. Do you understand? So create content, post it out there. I've created this YouTube channel for a while now, and I was like, what do I know? What can I teach people? And I've discovered with the subscriber I have about 150 subscribers, but there's this feeling like even though it is 150 people that are subscribed, I mean, in the whole world, 150 people feel I can impact them. That is something. Do you understand? So how that motivates you? Let's go back to the tutorial. So basically, that was just it for my distance. So this is my 50 mm. So this shot is on 50 on my 50 mm. Let me move to. So this is a wider shot. This was actually the shot. Actually, this wide shot. This was the shot. Uh, but I shot on 4K. All right, 4K. So it gave me the room to punch in and punch out. And the way this styling, I actually styled her, so I'm a great stylist. So well, this is why I placed her hair like this. It was not like it was total style. It was like I wanted to style her like this. Let me explain to you what happened. Let me explain. What happened was that you can see she wore this attire and she had this tape rule with her. So I told her, I know what, where the tape rule is. She was on the table before. I know what, put it on your neck. That shows that although you were not sewing as at that day when we showed this thing, but I mean, just pretend like you actually saw him when I came to meet you. So number one. Number two, beneath this air is the mic, the Rode mic I used on her. So immediately I placed it there. I felt like if I should leave it there, it would be distracting because one, it's that's a glassy feel on top, and two, there's a light that blinks. So I just felt like, you know what, I had a lapel, but I just didn't want to use a lapel. I want to use direct mic on the Rode. So what I did was I placed it on her left hand, then used so I styled her hair in a way that the hair was covering it, and I placed it in a way that the hair, even though when she moves, you know, even when the air moves around, it doesn't really touch the mouth of the um, mic, so that it doesn't have this scratch effect on it. So that was how I was able to position her. So on the machine, I placed some clothing because she also sells fabrics. She's a great babe. Go check her out on Instagram, Osh Fabrics. She's a great babe. So I'll link our Instagram or handle on the page in case you want to import your your attire from any country you are watching from. So basically, some scissors, some pin. This she was talking about because there was a pre-interview on before I started interview. There was like a pre-interview on things she would definitely talk about in that field. So I was able to get those things. The tailor uses scissors. They use paint to stack some things together. They use tape rule, or is it tape rule or measurement? Anything to measure their things. Some people use tape rule. Some people use. I've seen somebody use wood, and those wood are really cool. I don't know how they do it, but basically that was how I was able to do it. So for my color palette, from here you see. I think from here my color palettes are these are like the color palette. So the only every see these three colors are very similar. This an off-white, this off-white, and this brown happens to be this brown, and it has a touch of this other darker reddish brown, and this green is a dark green, this is a lemon, and this is a lighter green, and this other pink color is not that prominent, but so those were the color palettes I decided to use. I think this green should be more of this green. So yeah. So the only two, so I would say I use more of brown and dark green, for this. And the funny thing is that I just look at what she wore when I got there. The first thing when you get for an interview is look at your environment. What works with the equipment you have? All right. For my audio, I knew okay, the area was quite close to an estate, but I still shot a lot of things. I turned down the fan, I turned off the inner lights because I wanted to have total control of the lighting and also of the audio. And also, yeah, basically that was just it. So the compositioning also, I used rule of third, place that on the one third of the frame, and I was able to frame move in, move out, and I didn't want it to look like the normal regular documentary, the interview. Interview this, so there'll be question popping. I just wanted her to. I wanted it to look like a conversation. So it was like she was just talking. She was just talking. So let me unmute it. So like it just gives me joy. I'm like, how come I just have so much love for clothes? I wasn't confident at first about how to like make my sewing very neat. I was having issues with joining some parts. Yeah, some days you cry as a fashion designer, like you just cry, oh God, I'm not getting it. It's so difficult, but it gives you have this joy when you see the outfit you made and people are wearing it and you're just happy. Like you don't know how. I don't know how to explain it. Now, based on what you just saw, I think whenever you are shooting a documentary, start with the interview first. The interview, what she said what they said, or whoever you're interviewing says in the interview, that would determine your B-roll. Don't just shoot B-roll for shooting sake. I mean, you can't just walk up to somebody you don't know, or even though you know the person. Once they see camera, they are a different person entirely. So you can't just walk up to someone and just start shooting B-roll. They can't, no, but they can't really flow. But if you can interview them first, that way you guys have created this relationship. And when I was doing this interview, I made sure that we're free together. She was free with me. Played with her. I can see the way she was talking. She was not talking like I don't think she has ever done something like this before, based on what she said. So the way she was talking, it was easy, for her to communicate with me, because first of all, I got there, I was approachable, smile. Whenever she said something funny, like when she said, "Oh my God," I was smiling. That caused her. So there was a causer effect. So she said something funny. I was not keeping the straight interview. No, I smiled. Just a mere smile, and she was like, she laughed also, and that way it was not so rigid interview, a talking head kind of, just like a continuous talking. And every question I asked, I was able to summarize them in editing to 5 minutes, and I was able to cover everything she said, because it was not a "what do you do for a living?" It was not a "what's your name?" Straight. No, there were questions that they had. you know I prepared some questions for her. If I told you I only asked that on the 10 questions, I only had 3 questions. Every other questions were based on what she said, and most of the time the questions I kind of asked, indirectly, they were in a way intertwined into each other. So it was easy for me to even cover every questions I had in my written down, and without even looking down, because the conversation between us, it was interesting. So how long have you been doing this? Oh, really? Okay, so what motivated you? Okay, this motivated you. So how did you get started? So in that, how did you get started? I first did this, I first did that, I first did that. I was not even looking at, because the moment you start looking into your question, knowing to know the question, the person feels disconnected. The person feels, oh, this is a interrogation question. No, don't interrogate them. Ask them questions that you will ask somebody on a normal day playing with you, and you guys will be fine. Do you understand? So this is the part one of this tutorial. The part two, I will take us through my color grading. And so I've talked about the lightning, I've talked about the equipment I use. The next one will be called my color grading process. So if you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified each time I post a new videos, and you will never be disappointed. So basically, today I'm going for okay, let me turn on the radio. Okay, thank you very much. So today I'm going for the documentary I told you guys about, and so yeah. So today I'm starting off with the interview first before the bureaus, and I'm going to be shooting this project based on something I learned from a guy called Epic Media. I think Epic Media on YouTube, on shooting a documentary, shots you should take, and the most shots you should take. So although I've sent the script, I wrote a mini script for the client, and I sent it over to her so she can watch. And I hope everything comes out well. I pray it comes out well, and I know it will come out well. So yeah, so let me just go straight to show you guys the beautiful surrounding of in Nigeria. So for those of you watching us in Nigeria.